Welcome back to Westmoreland on the Gridiron. Sean Meyers now joined by the first-year head coach of the Southmoreland Scotties, Tim Bukowski. His team coming off of a 42-21 victory at home against Greensburg Salem. Now 4-4 on the season. First off, Tim, I know you were very excited to take over head coach at Southmoreland this offseason, and so far the season's gone pretty well. How have you evaluated your team's performance?
Well, I think, the key is, we've gotten better each week. I think that the familiarity with the players and, the line working cohesively is all starting to come together. We started out 0-2, and, it seems like since then, the togetherness has been there and the trust in each other. So, yeah, we're excited, that things are heading in the right direction.
I mentioned this is your first season as the head coach, but you had been with the program as the offensive coordinator for several years prior. What was that transition like? I know it was a very difficult time due to obviously the very tragic circumstances, but how was transition from offensive coordinator to head coach gone for you, and how's it gone for the team?
Well, obviously, with Ron, that whole situation, somebody had to pick up the ball and run with it. So, I was going to be his right-hand man. So it just made perfect sense. I'm glad that the school felt the same way. But the transition's been relatively smooth. Dave let me have, control of the offense for the last 4 years. So it's not like I wasn't in the huddle every play, calling all the plays. And, a little bit from the administrative side and some other little things you deal with outside of football. But the football part of it, I've been around a lot of good head coaches, and I think you pick up things from each of them that you want to implement. So, I'm trying to do that. And, Dave did a good job, resurrecting the program, so to speak. We were down and out, and we just kind of kept a lot of those traditions. And a lot of it's, the same as it's been. It's been working. So we're doing okay.
You're obviously an offensive-minded coach, and the offense has been pretty good this season. Now, you had a couple of hiccups, but got back with some pretty high-powered attack last week, getting 42 points. What has really stood out about the offensive performance?
Well, the couple hiccups were tough. We were, the Deer Lakes game, we were in the red zone 6 times and came away with 0. So it's rare for us to get shut out. It's humbling. I will say McGuffey, they broke our kicker's leg the first game. So it kind of, took us out of a kicking game. We tried everybody, and it just wasn't going good. So, a game like Deer Lakes, we probably could have kicked 5 or 6 field goals and possibly, won the game. But we just we didn't have that kicker available. So offensively right now, I think, for a first-year starter, Caden Kiefer has really stepped up and produced. He was the big question mark coming into the season, but he's been in the system for a couple of years. I knew he had a strong arm, and he's doing a real good job just leading the offense, getting the team in and out of the huddle, making good reads. And, obviously he and Ty Keffer, have developed this, great pass connection that's really, they lead the WPIAL with 58 receptions. And again, last week with the 6 touchdowns, it was just an amazing performance from both of them and the offensive line because, they gave him a lot of time to throw the ball.
It is certainly a nightmare for public address announcers and broadcasters, Kiefer and Keffer, but those two guys, they've been getting their name called a lot. And with Ty Keffer, it's an incredible story. I know it's been written a few times. We talked about it even before the season began because I knew you realized he was a pretty special talent. But the fact that he had not played football, came back this year, and he's been able to do what he's done, what does that say about him? And do you think he could potentially have a future in football if he looks that direction?
Yeah, I mean, it's really been an amazing story. He's very competitive. Everything he does, he wants to win. And it shows out on the field. Even at practice, every ball that's in the air, he expects to get it. And, he has good size, obviously. And his hands are amazing. If he drops a ball, it really turns your head because he catches everything. And if the whistle blows and quarterback's kind of throwing it away, he still catches it with ease. So, with his size and his basketball skills, his jumping ability, he just makes plays. He's been amazing. He's probably going to set every school record this year. He's really close already. to the reception mark, and he's at 855 yards, so he'll more than likely go over 1,000. But to do what he's done for not playing this many years, he's far exceeded my expectations. I knew he was a good athlete, but to be a complete receiver the way he is after one season, just a tribute to him and his work ethic and his athleticism.
If he's this good at football as a second sport, then I definitely need to see him on the basketball hardwood this year. So let's talk specifically about the victory against Greensburg Salem. He hauls in 6 touchdown passes. There's no doubt every opponent now knows he's your go-to guy. Against the Golden Lions, I'm sure that they tried to scheme to take him out of it. How has this still continued to succeed?
Well, every week we kind of prepare for that, double team or, shading a safety over towards Ty. And, we have situations where we try to move him around a little bit, stack him behind another receiver. And then after that stack, motion him across. We didn't do a lot of that this week. The way they played it, even though we would go trips to one side, they still had the safety shading Ty. But we were able to throw it into windows. And he kind of, beat him on a couple stop and go routes. So the corner bit on it. And, our quarterback, Kiefer, knew how to, drill it in there before the safety could get over top. And then he made one catch in the end zone that was just, the kind of things that the kids say he got mossed. I mean, he just went up over a guy and just pulled it over top, and it's a spectacular catch. And you mentioned earlier football and basketball. I think Ty's going to have a tough decision to make next year because basketball has been his sport, but I think he's going to get some pretty good football offers once we get his film out and these colleges around here start to take a look at it.
Well, obviously, when a quarterback and receiver connect for 6 touchdowns, they get all the headlines. But in a pretty convincing win against Greensburg Salem, I'm sure other guys really stood out. Who were some of those players who maybe didn't get the headlines but were big contributors?
Sure. I mean, we always, give the offensive line credit. He had time to throw the football. And, there have been times this year where we may not have run the ball as well as we've liked, but he's had pretty good pass protection all the time. Trey Wetzel, our running back, is a tough, hard-nosed football player. He's probably one of the best blocking backs I've ever coached. He has his head on a swivel. No matter what protection we have called, he's always seems to pick up that one guy that might leak. And, he did a great job for us as well. And, credit to him. And, Austin Moe's another guy that, he comes in at running back and he's just tough. They're tough guys and not afraid to step up and pass block. They know, when they get their chance to run the ball, they run as hard as they can. But, a lot of backs won't do the dirty work, and both of those guys will.
So I know that 2019 was such a special season because the Scotties snapped that very long playoff drought. And then last year, back in the playoffs and getting the home game. It's not official yet, but awfully close to going back to the postseason once again. How important is that for this program to continue to make progress and to somewhat become now accustomed to making the postseason?
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't be prouder. The staff, we've all been together, for this is our 5th year. And this should be, if things, play out with the way we think, the 3rd year in the playoffs out of 5, which gives them 4 total in the history of the school. So we've been here for 3 out of 4. And, I always tell people we're not everybody's homecoming game anymore, that, we play good football. And our kids are, they expect to win now. And we didn't have that when we first got here. So, that's a good feeling. Everybody expected this to be kind of an off year with the graduations that we had and, a new quarterback and a lot of unknowns. And, these guys have stepped up, especially our defense. They don't get a lot of credit, but they've had some great games, stopping some good players and some good teams. So the expectations, we have to get it to that next level, right? We got to start winning playoff games. And, I don't know if that's going to be this year. It could be, or it could be in the near future, but we have a lot of young football players out on that field. And I tell them all the time, you guys are going to win football playoff games. And I expect it. That's our expectations have to go up, all the time.
So everyone in Southmoreland gets geared up, I'm sure, for that matchup against Mount Pleasant area. That will conclude the regular season, but you have a very big test in front of you. You travel to play Belle Vernon, and it's a Leopards team that got off to, by their standards, kind of a slow start. But once conference play has begun, they have turned it on in a big, big way, blowing out everybody. So what challenges do the Leopards present to you?
Well, first of all, my son played for Matt Humbert. Matt does a great job. He's a good coach. He has a large staff. They're all, they've been together. He scheduled a really tough non-conference, obviously, where they lost a couple of games. But I think in the long run, it was a smart thing to do, knowing that, he was dropping down. And, as we've seen, his conference games have been blowouts. So he did a good job scheduling some tough games for those guys. Hey, look, I've been on that side. When I was at Clairton, I can't imagine what the other opponents thought when they watched our film. I watched their film, and there aren't many flaws. I mean, not only, obviously Quentin Martin, is a special player, but they got good kids everywhere, good team speed. Defensive line doesn't get credit for them. They're tough kids. Brett Barish is a very, very good defensive coordinator. So, it's a huge challenge for us. We're going to go down there and we have nothing to lose. I tell the kid, we're going to go down there and play our best. And, I want us to compete no matter who we play and never give up. So we're going to play every play as hard as we can and, try to compete with those guys. And, we know what we're up against. Lastly,
Tim, what makes Southmoreland the right place for you? What's so special about the Scotties in the community?
Well, I'll tell you, this is, the fifth high school I've coached at, and I've never been treated better. The community, is so supportive. They want a winner, and I think they believe in what we're doing, and they know we're positive with the kids, and the atmosphere here is really good on a Friday night, and this is where I want to be. There were questions, always about me leaving or going to, be an OC somewhere else, but I'm here to win playoff games, and I won't be satisfied until we do. And the school, Dan Boring, our AD, everybody just lets us coach and is real supportive. It's been a great situation.
Well, Tim, thanks so much for taking the time to do this. Once again, congratulations on getting off to this good start, and keep it up the rest of the way.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Thanks for having us on.
Absolutely. Tim Bukowski, the head coach of Southmoreland. We'll take a break and continue with more right here on Westmoreland on the Gridiron.